And for more on this, we're now being joined by Adrian Calmel. He is a fellow at Arabian Peninsula Institute and Middle Eastern scholar. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. Big development coming in. Ismail Haniyeh killed. How do you assess this development, sir?
Thank you for having me back. And this is it's a major development. When you look at the IDF, they've taken out Mohammed Daif now. Now Haniyeh's gone and off the board, and that leaves Yahya Sinwar sitting in a tunnel and hiding somewhere. This is seriously degrading the upper echelon leadership of Hamas, and it's got to pay a toll when you see your leaders and the people that are running this movement being taken off the battlefield and killed in really rather spectacular fashion in Tehran, where Haniyeh probably thought he was safest. It really speaks to Mossad and the Israelis' ability to reach out and touch certain individuals when they want and where they want. Doha would probably have been where Haniyeh had been staying and sheltering up. Seemed probably like the softer target, but that's a clear message when you take them down in Tehran.
Absolutely, sir. Now, we were speaking to Dr. Avner Cohen earlier as well, and he said that this is a failure on Iran's part. As you know, of course, Ismail Haniyeh was in Tehran. How do you think Iran will respond to this development?
It's difficult to say how they will respond. I will say this, leading up to the October 7th attack, which was a major blow to Israel, the belief that Israel's intelligence was infallible, that it couldn't be defeated, we have to remember that they were running circles around the internal security apparatus inside the Islamic Republic. And we can go to look at the multiple assassinations of a nuclear scientist, and the most recent one was of Fakhrizadeh. We can look at the multiple successful sabotage missions at Natanz nuclear facility, and also Abu al-Masri, who was AQ al-Qaeda and responsible for one of the individuals responsible for the 98 Kenya and Tanzania attacks, was gunned down inside Tehran by Mossad. So this is not something that's new. It's something that they should know. And if I was the individuals like Ismail Haniyeh, Abu Fadak from Kataib Hezbollah, I'd be nervous.
Right, sir. My next question, it's two-pronged. There are two things here. Of course, we earlier heard that Israel's military claimed that it had killed Hezbollah's most senior commander, Fuad Shukr, in an airstrike in Beirut, and this was in response to the Golan Heights strikes that we saw over the weekends. Since then, there have been increased fears of a wider war in the region. Now we are getting reports of Ismail Haniyeh being killed. Of course, Israel has not taken responsibility for that. That being said, with the Hezbollah front still hot, and now with this development, do you think this will impact the morale of the Hamas leadership? And how do you think this will impact the war in Gaza?
What I'm hoping for, and what I think the Israeli messaging here, is that you crossed a line here, and what we're going to do is we're going to reach out, we're going to punch in the nose, we're going to make it very clear that you cannot do this again. So my hope is that this will de-escalate, if anything, by taking out these individuals, that they'll say, okay, we overstepped our bounds here, we get it. We still have to remember that there's a war raging on the northern border where, 60 to 100,000 Israelis have been displaced. So this isn't a done deal. It's not over with. But I do believe that the Islamic Republic, I do believe that Hezbollah and all their proxies, Hamas, are going to have to seriously recalculate what their approach is in the days forward. They will respond, but I would expect a muted response. But I've been surprised many times by this conflict.
Right, sir. Of course, we've spoken about Iran's possible reactions to this. We're also waiting on the United States' response to this. We've seen that the United States has been trying its best to avert a wider war. How do you think it will react to this development?
Well, this administration, great question. This administration is going to try and put the pressure on Israel not to widen this war. This has been kind of the running theme is that don't get tangled up with Hezbollah. And Amos Hochstein, the U.S. ambassador, he's been giving some mixed messaging. There's been questions whether he has been giving Hezbollah forward knowledge of information. So Washington, D.C. has had a failed Lebanon policy for decades now. And the answer is not throwing more money at the problem, which has always been the solution in DC's eyes. I don't know where they go from here. The Israelis, I think, have done the Americans' job by taking out this military strike, especially on Fuad Shakir. That was important because we also have to remember that he's got a $5 million bounty on him from the Department of Justice, and he's responsible for killing 241 Marines in 1983. So the Israelis kind of did the Americans' dirty work here, and probably should be sending the Netanyahu administration, or even a better idea, send the $5 million reward to the families of the 12 children who were killed in the attack.
All right. Well, Mr. Kalmal, thank you so much for joining us on WION World as One with your insights on this. Of course, the situation is still just unfolding. We're still getting developments. We'll continue to track this closely.
Thank you, as always.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.